today. So thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a video on briefings and the use of visual aids. I've had some requests. I had a request from Jana, and I thought, well, rather than send you an email, Jana, I'll just make you a personal little video, and I hope anyone else watching enjoys, because I do get a lot of questions about briefings for their lessons. So if you're an ADI and you're thinking about your standards check and you want some help with briefings, this could be the video for you. But more so, I would say this is more targeted at PDIs, potential driving instructors, trainee driving instructors wanting to pass the part 3, and they might be out on a pink badge and they just need a bit of help with briefings and sort of what to do. So that is sort of the vibe I'm getting sort of for requests. So if I can just go through and sort of give you some hints, tips, sort of things I do for my briefings, how I structure them, and hopefully that'll be of help. So let's get started. So basically, we're really talking about lesson planning, aren't we? We're planning a lesson, and the briefing is just part of that lesson plan. So the way I structure my lessons, and this is sort of pretty universal, I guess, against most driving instructors on how they would have been taught to do it, and that's, this is the method I use. So basically, when I structure my lesson, and don't just think about your test, don't just think about doing your part 3 or standards check. This is just what you should be doing normally. This is normal. So because when you do your test, you're just delivering a normal lesson, and I kind of get the sense that people don't always understand that, and they're trying to do something different for their tests. Well, you just don't want to do anything different. You just want to be yourself and do your normal lesson, because your pupil is going to look at you like thinking, what have you done with my instructor? Why are you being so different? So you just got to be yourself, do what you normally do, and this is what I normally do for my lessons. So if we look at the subject of briefings, explanations, that fits in within the broad subject area of lesson planning, doesn't it? So in terms of my lesson planning, I just want to put it into context where the briefing would fit into that. So, and I'll list these on the screen. So first of all, we're going to do a recap, find out what they know, what they don't know, build on their previous experience. So we always recap what happened last time moving forward. So that'd be recap. Then we'd agree the learning aims, what we're going to do today. 3, then we do the briefing. Anything new, they need to be briefed about what's expected, what's going to happen, what the rules are. 4, we're going to agree the level of instruction. So what level of help does the pupil need? How we're going to share responsibility for doing this task and reduce risk. Then we're going to get out and do our practice drive. This is where the learning takes place. Learners learn to drive by doing. Driving is a doing skill. The more they do it, the more they learn. Okay. Whilst they're out, number 6, we're going to give them feedback and encouragement. Give them lots of praise. Let them know when they're doing well. You can, at this point, adjust the lesson plan. If it's too difficult, we can lower the bar and simplify things for them. Make it a little bit easier if they've plateaued in their learning. If they're finding it too easy and it's getting a bit boring, we need to adapt the plan and raise the bar and give them a bit of stretch to develop them more. Add something. Give them more responsibility. And then finally, number 7 at the end, we're going to summarise the lesson. At the end, review how they've done, and then think what we're going to do next week and plan for that, and then get the diaries out, do all that. And then we go in full circle. So then we'd come round to the next lesson, recap what happened last lesson, what went well, what didn't go so well, what do we need to do. Objective falls into the new lesson. What have we got planned for today? What do you want to get out of it? So we go through the cycle again. And so learning takes place. It's very client-centered rather than instructor-led. So we want our pupil involved and taking responsibility for the learning process. After it's their journey, and they need to have some accountability and feel part of that, and so we want to encourage them to think about and be responsible for their learning. So let's get into it. I'm going to go through now into how to do these briefings and gives you some hints and tips on briefings. So when I do a briefing, I'm going to break it down into 3 bits. So in the briefing, we're going to introduce it. What is the lesson? What's it about? Why are we doing it? Yeah. Then we're going to do an overview and just break the lesson down. What are the key learning aims? So often we use mnemonics and acronyms like POM, MSPSL to break these little things down into a clear structure. So we've done an overview. And then the briefing itself, the third part, is to get into and do a full briefing on each bit. So if we took like for a beginner pupil moving off, for example, we would introduce the lesson. So today we're going to teach you how to move off safely and under control. We've introduced it. To break that down, the overview. So to help you to do that, we're going to use a little system called POM, and that's prepare, observe, move. And now that's the overview. And now into the full briefing. Now let's talk about prepare. So for example, this is how I do my briefing. And I'd use visual aids so they can see the word POM and they can see it on the page, so they can, if they're a visual learner, they can take that information in. Okay, so for prepare, what we're going to do is we're going to put the clutch down, select first gear. The left foot's going to come slowly up and find that bite point, what we were just explaining to you and talking about. Yeah, so you've got the bite point. The right foot's going to cover the gas pedal, and you're going to keep those feet nice and still. Then the left hand's going to hold the handbrake ready to release it, and the right hand is going to hold the steering wheel. You are now prepared. Then we're going to do the observations, all round effective observations. So what I want you to do is look ahead, centre mirror, right mirror, and I want you to tell me if it's safe. And if it is safe, we're going to do the 6-point check that we just talked about. So we're going to look left shoulder, left mirror, ahead, centre mirror, right shoulder. We've observed, and if that's still safe, we're going to go to the M, the move. And what I'd like you to do then is release the handbrake fully and slowly release the clutch, apply a little bit of gas, and we move off. I want to give some more hints and tips. Use Q&A. Q&A technique is your friend in this briefings. No one likes to be lectured to and just told and have a barrage of information. Yeah. So we want to make it interactive. We want our people involved and engaged in the process of learning, because after all, they're the ones learning. So we want to ask lots of questions, and we want to take them from what they know to what they don't know, and we're going to build on that knowledge base. So ask lots of questions. For example, let's say you've got a beginner pupil and they've already pulled up on the left, so they know how to do that. And now you're going to introduce turning left at junctions. So for example, rather than tell them they're going to check centre mirror, left mirror, ask, say, and sort of build on that knowledge. So what I mean by that is, okay, so we're going to be turning left at the junction, and we've introduced the MSPSL routine. So we're going to do our mirrors. So what mirrors would you check? And they might be, I'm not sure. Well, what mirrors did you check when you pulled up to the left near the curb? Oh, I checked the centre and left. And do you know why you did that? Well, yeah, I do, blah, blah, blah. So if you're turning left at a junction, what mirrors would be good to use here, do you think? Oh, centre and left. Exactly, good, well done. So using Q&A questions to sort of dig out what they already know, rather than just tell them at the junction you're going to take centre left mirror, done, move on. We want to get them, do they understand why? Yeah. So asking questions is really good, and you can build on their knowledge and build their confidence as well. Make your briefings interactive. Try and get them to solve problems. If they're not sure of something, like who's got priority, well, use a visual aid. Put a car there in a certain position. So, well, in this situation, who do you think would have priority? Then they can kind of look at it, work it out, and think, well, I think I would. So, yeah, good. Or if they're not sure, obviously we'll explain and tell them. So encourage your people to be part of the process, engage them, get them to interact, get them to solve problems, and then you can kind of suss out what they know and what they're sort of belief is really on what their understanding of what would happen in that situation. So that's a really good method. I like to use that lots. Visual aids. I want to talk to you about visual aids because there's lots of visual aids, and you know, which ones do you use? I mean, there's so many. Some are quite expensive, some are quite cheap, and it's just a bit of a minefield. So I just thought I'd just show you some of the visual aids I've used in the past, and then you can make your own mind up. Some of the visual aids I use. Okay, so where to start? There's so many. I'll be brief. Okay, so I'm going to look at this one. This is Driver Active. This is from John Farlam, and I'll provide all the links in the description so you can get a hold of these. You know, so these are available to buy, and let me go through. So basically, there's many. This one by John Farlam. Let me just grab a page and just briefly show you something. Oh no, this is a good one. Turning left. Okay, so I don't know how well you'll see that in the video, but here we've got a picture of a road with a left junction, and we're introducing the subject of turning left. So you've got the title, so you can introduce it up here. You can do your lesson overview. So you've got your MSPSL broken down the left side, and then bullet points under each bit. So under mirrors, there's key notes for you to refer to help you if you're in difficulty of remembering. So I find this is a very good introductory level for new instructors learning to do briefings, because it's got your keynotes there, and they're like little prompts for you. As you get experienced, then an experienced driving instructor isn't going to obviously be reading that, because they know the script in their head. They've got the content already laid out, and they've done it so many times. It's like the words of your favourite song at that point. It's more of a conversation that you have with your pupil, and you go through because you know it inside out. So this is good because it has got notes, and you can draw on it as well. So you can use a dry white pen and draw on it because it's all in plastic. Okay, so that's that one. So the other one I like is from DITA. DITA, again, I'll provide the link in the description below. DITA is Driving Instructor Teaching Aids. This is their visual aid. This is their book for lesson briefings. Let me open up a page. It's very clearly laid out. What I like about it is in this book is on the right side you've got a diagram of the subject, so like junctions turning right, I think this one is, and on the left like the instructor notes. So as you lay that across the car, you'd obviously be sat on the left, so your notes are on your side of the book, and the visual aid, the one that the learner's primarily interested in looking at, is on the right. So it's kind of well placed, well designed, very high quality. Yeah, it's very clear. I do like this. And also from DITA, they provide there's a reference point book. So often driving instructors think, well, how do you teach them how to position when bay parking, parallel parking, dealing with T-junctions? And I really like this because, again, on the left you've got the instructor's reference point from their perspective, sat in the car, and the and on the right the learner's perspective. And yeah, these are sort of generic, and they might vary from car to car, but they kind of are pretty accurate. And I do find that quite useful. So this is a really good tool for driving instructors to sort of really learn and understand about how they can help their pupils judge things for themselves using reference points. That's a nice little teaching aid. And also from DITA, there's they've got this looking at fixing faults really. So it uses the identify, analyze, remedial action method, and so it'll take any driving fault over the subjects, and it'll identify common faults that pupils do make. It helps you analyze the fault and think about remedial action, the risks involved, and how you would overcome them, how you can solve the problem. So very good. So it's all in table form, and you know, there, I'll give you a little look. So yeah, I just think that's really good. Good for a training instructor to sort of really learn and anticipate the sort of problems pupils will make and have a strategy, a teaching strategy to overcome them and to identify risk, which is really what you want to be doing with your pupil, to help them understand why we do why we do things the way we do them, to reduce risk and make them get them to be safe, responsible drivers. There are other things on the market. Colour File Plus. But I personally don't like this one very much because it's also written in too much detail. They're not really bullet points. There's a lot of information in quite small text. Again, they're on glosses. You can draw on them. Personally, this isn't my favourite, but I know a lot of instructors that sort of swear by this and like it. So there's Colour File Plus. I'll put in the notes in the description. Other things you can use as visual aids, like iPads, really good apps that you can get. Neil Beaver, if you go on the app store and look up Neil Beaver, he's got some really good apps if you kind of prefer to use an iPad. For example, I've got this one here, like just knocked up this little junction, a stop junction. You can put your MSPSL on there, and the apps can move. There's lots of apps. He's produced quite a few, so just have a look. They range from about £3 to £6 each, but they're quite good, and you can draw on them. You can get satellite images on them, so that's quite good. People like to use things like that, and it's good because, like I say, you can draw on them. Other things, visual aids that I tend to use as well is if you can see that little handout. So if you're doing something like DSSM with your pupil and they think, oh yeah, how can I retain that? Just say, well, we've got some handouts, give them a handout, so then they can go away, look something up. Or even better, you could say, look, next week we're going to do roundabouts, and give them a handout so they can have a little bit of a look into what they're going to be doing. Then you can start the lesson with a recap on what they understand, and that'll accelerate, speed up the whole briefing process, get them driving sooner, so they can take a bit of ownership, do a bit of homework. So all good stuff. So that's with briefings and some of the visual aids I would use, and how to structure the briefings. I hope that's been of help. I'm trying to think of anything else I need to include. No doubt as soon as I edit this, I'll think, oh, I didn't say that. If there is anything you've got, please ask. Leave comments in the comment section. I would endeavour to get back in touch. Please like if you do, subscribe, and let me know what you want me to cover next. Alright, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. That was too long, I think. You see, here I am and saying about how briefings should be short, sharp, and to the point, and I waffle on. I'm just wondering whether to do that bit again. I've left it in the boot. Hang on a minute. Yeah, we'll do that again. Yeah. Hi, thanks for watching. Always appreciate your support.